Page 34, Shadow Pictures. On page 33, they're introducing the damper pedal. So hold on to your socks, things are about to get interesting. I don't have a lot to say about page 33. You can read it and do the up, down, whatever they're doing. That's fine. But there's a few basic ideas on using the damper pedal that I think are really important. And that is, the first one is, you never pedal anything unless you have to, because it changes the tone. It doesn't just sustain the notes, it changes the tone. And I'll show that to you. Similar to some of their drills on page 33, we're using the same finger to play multiple notes. Well, instead of those, I use scales. I use scales and arpeggios for just about any drill I need. So if I take a C major scale, and go do my video on the beginner part of C major scale and learn the C major scale, it will really help you. These pieces on these 34 and 35 are in G major, so you really ought to do the G major scale. It's keep up with the scales, they're important. However, using a C major scale, one finger only, I do this. Listen carefully. Etc. Hear the sound? Now if I do the drill similar to 33, using one finger, but I'm using the pedal to connect the notes, I get this. Listen carefully. If you listen carefully, I think you'll agree, those two things do not sound the same. Without the pedal and with the pedal, it sounds different. That's why it's so important. Don't use pedal unless you have to. I had a friend, long time ago, bass player, nice person. Didn't know squat about piano, never had a lesson. And he was in there, I heard him in the music room one day playing some Chopin piece. And he would push the pedal down at the beginning of the piece and he would leave it down for the whole piece and then lift the pedal up. He'd never lift the pedal up and down anywhere in the piece. It was just down the whole time. Sounded terrible. He didn't see anything. He thought it was fine. It sounded good because I asked him about it. Does that sound all right to you? Yeah, it's fine. That's, I think, an example of just not listening and lack of training, because as I said, he'd never had a piano lesson. He didn't know what to listen for. But it just sounded really bad. So we're going to take the pedal bit very carefully. All right? Just follow me. Now different editors, different publishers will use slightly different pedal markings. But if you look at them carefully, they're easy to figure out. So I'm not going to worry too much about different styles of pedal markings. The most common, and the one I like the best, is actually used in this book. I like what they're doing on 34 and on, the way they're marking the pedal. If you look at it underneath the bottom staff, and on 34, page 34, right? They have the word pedal. The word pedal shouldn't be there. You don't need that. They're just helping you out there to tell you that's the pedal indication. What it is you have a little vertical line, a little line going that way. Then you have this long line going this way, and then at the end, another little vertical line. Those are important because the first vertical line tells you when to put the pedal down. The horizontal line going across means hold it down, keep it down. And then at the end, the line going up tells you to lift the pedal up. Simple? Well, not exactly. Got to throw a curve into this thing. And that is, this book and most books are not exactly accurate as to when those vertical lines are. They're not placed. I want to adjust that. For instance, at the beginning of Shadow Pictures. Now there's nothing in this piece that's tricky for you. It's just a bunch of eighth notes in the 2/4 time. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. You can do all that. It's no big deal. The thing we're focusing on here is the pedal. At the beginning, I'm going to push the G down first in the right hand, that first eighth note. And immediately after I push the G down, then I'm going to push the pedal down. So I do the note, then the pedal. The pedal lags a little bit. So it's this way. I'm going to keep the pedal down for the first 3 measures. Then when I play the G in the last measure, I'm going to lift the pedal up. So the first line is like this. The first three lines in this piece all work the same way. The last line is similar, except we have little pulses in it. These little uppies, boopy boop. Okay. Well, that means to lift the pedal up and put it right back down. Now, you don't have to be real quick about it. Don't rush it. Just put it up and back down. We call that changing the pedal. You lift it up and down. You changed it. Not really changing it, but you get the idea, I hope. So what I want to do is I want to lag the changing. So I'm not changing when I play the note. I'm changing right after I play the note. It's just a split second after. Not a lot after, just a split second after. So the last line is this way. At the end of the two counts, the pedal and the hands all come up at the same time. And then you ask why. I mean, the pedal, that last measure there, the half note. If the pedal has it, why can't I lift up? I mean, what's the point? The sound's going, and I say the point is it's bad technique to do that. Now, sometimes if you're doing a showy piece and you're flying the hands around, you might do that. But on a serious piece like this is a serious piece, huh? Then you lift the hands up and the pedal up at the same time. In other words, don't rely on the pedal. Make the fingers do the work. So as long as that half note is there, whether pedal or not, you keep it down until the end and then lift it up. If you'll take a look at, looks like the beginning of each line. The last line, it happens quite a bit. Between the staves, you'll see a red capital I. That's a Roman numeral for 1, meaning you're playing a 1 chord. So what's a 1 chord? Have we not had these before? Well, I can't remember what we've had and what we haven't, so I'm going to explain it again because it's in red. It must be important. In a key, I'm going to go back to C major because it's all the white keys. This piece is in G major. I'll get there in a minute. Let's just use C major for now. In a scale, each note in the scale is numbered. We call them steps, a step number. The first step is the bottom, the C. It's the name of the scale. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 is 1 again. Okay, so there's actually 7 steps in a scale. And you start over with 1. Well, you can build a chord, a triad, a 3-note chord on each step. So this one, built on the first step, is a 3-note triad. It's every other note. It's called a 1 chord. It's called a C chord also because when you're in root position, the bottom note identifies the chord. We've had the, have we? I don't know. So that's a 1 chord. And a 2 chord, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go to G major. Works exactly. They all work the same way. So I'm going to go here on a G scale. We're here. G major has an F sharp. Now that sounds good, don't it? So we have all of them. So the first step, if I build a chord on it, it's a 1 chord in the key of G. Happens to be a G chord. 1, 2, 3. Remember there's an F sharp in G major. 3, 4, 5. Remember the F sharp? 6, 7. That's what this is. The Roman numeral, it identifies what's the chord for the step. We're on step 1 in G major, so it's a G chord. It's another way of identifying chords. They could have put a capital G up above, same difference. Second line, it's a 4 chord in the key of G. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a C chord too, but it's a 4 chord in the key of G. It's a 1 chord in the key of C. Isn't this getting fun now? Hang on to your hat. Third line, we have a 5, 7. Oh, goody. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 chord. just add a 7th step, which is one more note, which is going up here. Remember, we're skipping a note into every other note. That is a 5/7 chord in the key of G, or a D7 chord. I don't want to confuse you too much yet. We'll save that for later, but right now that's it. It's a 5/7 chord. Then in the last line, you go back to the 1 chord. Next measure is that 4 chord again, and then a 1 chord again. These 3 chords, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5/7 chord, are the primary chords in any key. In the key of G, that's what we're doing. And the notes they're playing happen to be these chords. They fall in these chords. So if you have a guitar player or somebody who can read these Roman numeral chord names, they could play along with you. Or you take a pencil or something and you write in the chord name based on that. Write in the chord name above the staff. So the first one is a capital G. The second line, it's a capital C. And the third line, it's a capital D7, etc. And then a guitar player can play along with you, or somebody like that. Ukulele player or whoever, I don't know. And that's the way those chords work. I would like to cover everything, would try and be as thorough as possible. I miss things, I know I miss things, but I try. This at the top, you see it is moderato, which means a moderate speed, which means I have no idea how fast it goes. You'll have to decide what a moderate speed is to you. In between the stabs there on the first line, after the capital I, there is a dolce leggero. I can't speak Italian, but there you go. That is Italian with Kansas accent. Leggero. Yeah, okay. Dolce is kind of sweetly. Leggero is the light. So keep it sweet and light. Well, the dynamic given is MP, and melody's everywhere. There's no accompaniment per se, it's all melody. So you keep it sort of soft and kind of happy. You figure out what that is and play it that way. Yeah. So let's try this out. 2/4 time will give us 2 counts, and we'll play it together. So the right hand is here, left hand's here, and the foot's on the pedal. 1 and 2 and ready and go and.